And Machado laces it in the air to deep left. This one gonna go!
Coming up, we'll recap the last Padres game, preview today's starting pitching matchup, give you our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Craig Stammen. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. As today, the Padres take on the Texas Rangers in the first game of a 3-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for the Rangers, right-hander Jacob deGrom, and for the Padres, right-hander Randy Vasquez. Hi, good everybody. Sam Levitt with you from inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at 5:05 p.m. here on the West Coast. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we have a lot to do. You'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. You'll hear from Padres outfielder Samad Taylor. We check in at Globe Life Field with Padres radio voice Jesse Agler in just a few minutes and much, much more. But first, it's time to set the table. Brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at Fraser Farms Market. Padres enter today 38-35. They are 3-3 on this current road trip. They won 2 of 3 in Baltimore to begin the trip. They just lost 2 of 3 in St. Louis earlier this week. Rangers, meanwhile, come in 35-39. They enter this series having lost 5 of their last 6 games, including just getting swept by the Twins at home. Before this most recent stretch, Rangers had been playing well. They had won 9 of 12 in 4 consecutive series. Before we turn our full attention to this series over the weekend in Arlington, Texas, let's revisit Wednesday's series finale in St. Louis.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
Wednesday at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, Padres trying to avoid a sweep at the hands of the Cardinals. They had a 1-0 lead going to the 4th inning. Manny Machado hit a leadoff double. Later in the inning, it was Xander Bogaerts.
The 0-1 pitch, and Xander hits it on the ground through the right side at a base hit. Machado's at third being waved. Walker comes up with it. His throw will be cut, and an RBI single for Xander Bogaerts has put the Padres ahead 2-0.
Padres led 2-0 going to the 5th inning. Will Wagner led off the inning with a single. He went to second on a wild pitch. Fernando Tatis Jr. at the plate.
Runner on second, 1 away for Tatis. Padres lead 2-0. Fernando lines one out to center field and over the head of Church, who came in, jumped, couldn't make the play. Wagner going to score. Fernando racing into second. An RBI double on a misread liner to center, and the Padre lead is 3-0.
Bradley Rodriguez began the game as the opener. He pitched a scoreless inning. Griffin Canning went 4 innings and a third, allowed 1 run as the bulk innings guy. Jason Adam pitching a scoreless 8th inning. Padres led 3-1 going to the 9th inning. They were looking for insurance. There was runner on base for Fernando.
Here's the 1-1. Fernando in the air to right field. That'll chase Walker back towards the corner. Going to be over his head. Hangs off the wall. Song in to score. Fernando racing into second. He slides the tag. He's out at second base. And now the Padres have to wait and see if they want to challenge.
San Diego's challenge without calling second base. After review, the call stands. The runner's out. San Diego loses the challenge.
Now the runner out at second base, but the Padres weren't done. Samad Taylor singled. That brought up Jackson Merrill.
1-2. Merrill swings, hits it in the air, deep down the right field line, trying to keep it fair towards the pole. This one, gonna go! 2-run homer, Jackson Merrill. First home run of this series from anybody, and a 2-run exclamation point for Merrill here in the 9th inning. The Padre lead is 6-1. Now the Cardinals may ask for a crew chief review on whether that was actually fair or foul.
This will be a crew chief review on a home run call. After the crew chief review, the call stands to home run.
All right, so the Padres getting the challenge there correctly, and, they didn't challenge. The Cardinals challenge. You get the point. Stood, home run, Jackson Merrill. Padres would win the series finale in St. Louis, salvaging the final game of that 3-game series. Day off yesterday in Texas, and now the Padres begin this 3-game series coming up at 5:05 p.m. in Arlington. As we get ready for this series opener, let's go to Texas.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Jesse Agler in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, Jesse, first thing, how was your off day yesterday in the DFW area?
A lovely off day. Didn't do too much. Just kind of watched some soccer, rested, relaxed, that kind of thing. Got a long stretch of baseball here between now and the All-Star break, so took advantage to recharge the battery. It was 97 degrees outside, so not much to do out there, and just a good restful day. Thank you for asking.
Jesse, before we get into today's matchup, I want to ask you about Fernando Tatis Jr., because it really seems like Fernando is starting to come around in a really consistent way. I know the home run total is still only at 2. He had 3 hits on Wednesday. He's been hitting the ball hard and also just collecting hits day in, day out. Your thoughts on Fernando, what he's done really the last 3-4 weeks in particular?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no doubt there's been a turnaround. And, I mean, the non-scientific answer to me, I think we talked about this during the broadcast the other day, was, he kind of went to the leadoff spot full time. I think it was May 17th, somewhere around there. And he's hitting about 230 at that time. And ever since then, he's hitting well above that. And now here he is, batting 284 on the season. I don't know that that's like necessarily a causation thing, correlation thing, but it certainly lines up. And look, for some guys, that is the psychology of the sport. And, just kind of feeling comfortable up there and being able to be your best self up there in that position is a thing. But I think also, he's made some swing adjustments, and he's sort of settled into making those swing adjustments. He's hit the ball hard all year long. I know we've sort of exhausted that conversation, but, it takes more, as we've learned watching him. It's been a great study, right? It takes more than hitting the ball hard. It takes hitting the ball hard the right way, and we've seen more and more of that from Fernando as the season has gone on. It has been a fascinating case study this year. It really has, because sort of, in the modern age of baseball, we're always talking about exit velocity, launch angle, and all that. But, again, you look at Fernando this year, and you look at the exit velocities, you look at the launch angles, you look at the batting average, you look at the home run totals at different parts of this season, and boy, you could spend hours poring over that data and trying to figure out what's been going on. It's been a really, really odd kind of year for him, but no doubt trending in the right direction in a very big way.
Jesse, let's talk about the pitching matchup tonight. Randy Vasquez on the mound for the Padres. Jacob deGrom on the mound for the Texas Rangers. First time the Padres will see Jacob deGrom since Game 2 of that 2022 NL Wildcard Series against the Mets in New York. Let's focus on deGrom. His season had been a little up and down, but his last 4 starts or so, he has been really good. He's getting a lot of swing and miss. He's at 38 years old, but it seems like he's starting to find his stride once again as a Texas Ranger. He's been very good.
Yeah, first of all, it's 38 today. Yep. I don't know how I feel about Jacob deGrom turning 38 years old. I guess it happens to everybody, but that's kind of wild to think about it. And you're right, there were some ups and downs in there. I mean, look, this is a guy who last year he stayed healthy. He was an all-star. And for a lot of last year, he looked like himself. He looked like Jacob deGrom. This year, it's been a little bit more inconsistent. He's had 2 10-strikeout games this year, which, of course, was sort of like the baseline for this guy during his healthy seasons, during his prime. But at 38, understandably, it's a little bit different. Now, make no mistake, he's still going to hump it up there, 97 pretty consistently. He's still got that unbelievable slider that's going to be above 90 miles an hour. And so those whiffs, those swings and misses you were alluding to, they are very much still there for Jacob deGrom. But, maybe it's a 6-inning kind of Jacob deGrom these days, which leaves you some opportunity perhaps to strike against their bullpen. The Rangers are kind of like the Padres, having a weird year. They got some strange things going on that they don't really quite understand. But like the Padres, they're right in the thick of it. Yep. And, I mean, you could say that it seems like about a dozen teams around the major leagues this year. You think about the AL West, and my goodness, Seattle, the only team above 500. So the Rangers are 35 and 39, but only 3 games out of first place. So it's weird in 2026 all over the map.
Jesse, good insight as always. We'll talk to you and Bob Scanlon coming up towards the top of the hour as the Padres begin the third leg of this very long 9-game road trip. Appreciate the time. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, I think I remember what Petco Park looks like, but I'm not entirely positive. I'll let you know on Monday.
All right, Jesse Agler joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. It's been a long trip. Baltimore last weekend, St. Louis this week, and then, of course, 3 games in Texas to wrap up the road trip. Padres 3-3 right now on the trip. So, look, all they got to do to make it a winning road trip would be to take 2 out of 3 against the Rangers in Texas. We'll see if they can do that tonight against Jacob deGrom and company. Randy Vasquez on the mound for the Padres. When we come back, we'll take our first look at today's Padres lineup. We'll also hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. Padres did make a move before today's game, so we'll tell you about that as we walk you up towards first pitch coming up at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. It's game 1 of this 3-game series between the Padres and the Rangers on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 5:05 p.m. in Arlington, Texas. Series opener between the Padres and the Rangers. Our pregame coverage, as always, brought to you by EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Visit EcoWaterSoCal.com or call 760-350-3338. Padres did make a move earlier today. They reinstated their closer, Mason Miller, from the bereavement/family medical leave list and optioned right-hander Bradley Rodriguez to the Arizona Complex League. Now, at first glance, you might look at that and say, huh? Bradley is gone. He's been so good, this young flamethrower, and you're sending him down to the ACL. You'll hear from Craig Stammen in a moment. It'll make more sense in a moment. But again, Mason Miller reinstated from that bereavement family medical leave list, and Bradley Rodriguez was optioned. Taking a look at the Padres lineup today, looks like this. Fernando Tatis Jr. at second base leading off. Samad Taylor in right field batting second. Jackson Merrill in center batting third. Manny Machado at third base batting cleanup. Gavin Sheets in left batting fifth. Xander Bogaerts in the sixth spot playing shortstop. Ty France at first base batting seventh. Will Wagner, the DH, batting eighth. And Rodolfo Duran doing the catching batting ninth with right-hander Randy Vasquez on the hill. Let's hear from Craig Stammen about that move, Bradley Rodriguez getting optioned, and much more.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
It's something that we talked about as an organization, with some of our younger relievers. It's going to be their first full season in the big leagues, and we wanted to be able to take care of them in the right way. We knew going this year we're going to use our pen a lot. We feel very comfortable using our pen a lot. We got a lot of good arms down there, the strength of our team, and we've got to find creative ways to keep these guys healthy and so that they're, at their peak at the end of the season.
Having Mason back frees up a little bit for the manager.
Yeah, exactly. It's nice to have Mason back. It's always the comfort level having him at the back end. We survived the St. Louis series without him, did just fine. That speaks to the strength of our the entire bullpen, but it's certainly nice to have one of the best in the game, closing it out for us.
How much of the move today is also Kyle maybe showing some last couple of appearances?
Yeah, definitely, it made that decision, something to think about. Kyle pitched great in St. Louis and showed a little bit of increased velocity and some pitch making, and it was exciting for him to, come and show that. It gives us the ability to give people like David Morgan, Bradley Rodriguez a little bit of a breather. Kyle Hart, for instance, give them a little bit of a breather and get them to where they're at their peak for most of the season.
Do you know what's behind the uptick in velocity for Kyle?
I think he's been working on it. It's one of those things, like he was in the offseason, he was disappointed he wasn't throwing hard. And it's just one of those things of sticking with it, sticking with the weight room, sticking with your, throwing program, sticking with your recovery program, and then get to the middle of the season, your arm's fully strengthened, and now you see a little bit of velocity jump. The hot, humid weather doesn't hurt either.
What do you like about Duran now is he's been catching every day, taking over that top catcher spot?
Yeah. Without Freddie, without Campy, RD's kind of came in and done a great job. He's provided a little bit of offense, but most importantly, he's been catching great behind the dish. Great series in Seattle for our pitching staff, and he was leading the pitching staff the entire way. Gave up very few runs, and 7 runs, I think, in that entire series. So we feel very good with him behind the plate.
Think Blake might go Sunday still?
Yeah, Blake's going to get to play one of these 3 games. I promise you that. It will happen. As long as, something crazy doesn't happen in between now and then.
Craig, what's the difference between big league innings and minor league innings when we hear about, hey, you threw about the same number of innings, but it was minor league? What goes into that differential to you?
You know what? It's hard to quantify because it's more of just the major league atmosphere, the stress level, more fans in the stands, more media, more attention, all that. Those stressors add to the stressors on your arm. And when you're out there, you're naturally going to throw harder in the big leagues. It's just kind of what happens a little bit. There's just more pressure, more stress, and then in the minor leagues, those innings are always probably calculated out. Bradley's not throwing 3 out of 4 days in the minor leagues, or David Morgan's not throwing back-to-back-to-back, a day off back-to-back again, those types of things. So we can curtail their innings in the minor leagues and the big leagues. We got to win the game that day, and there's just a little bit more that puts into it. The only way I can describe is what I felt when I was a rookie and getting called up for the first time and just knowing what that level of stress I was putting on my arm on a daily basis was different than what it was in the minor leagues.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen earlier today inside the Padres dugout. We'll hear more from Craig on our post-game coverage coming up later on this evening. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at 5:05 at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to step up their game? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not? Presented by ASAP Drain Guys and Plumbing, a division of Anderson Commercial, your full-service plumber serving San Diego County.
We begin with a look at the hot category. A couple of guys we'll put in there. Fernando Tatis Jr. had 3 hits on Wednesday. He's now batting .344 with 6 extra base hits, 8 RBIs in June so far. Samad Taylor in the midst of a 9-game hitting streak, batting .364 in that span with a double, a home run, and 8 RBIs, 4 stolen bases during the 9-game hit streak. Fernando and Samad batting 1 and 2 again in the Padre lineup today. The not category, we focus on Ty France, who is batting just .132 in 38 at-bats during this month of June. And that's a quick look at who's hot, who's not, as we get ready for first pitch coming up in just a little bit. When we return, we'll take a look at some Major League headlines. We'll hear from Samad Taylor. We have our keys to the game, a pitching preview for you coming up in a little while, as well as we walk you up towards first pitch coming up at 5:05. Padres and the Rangers in this series opener in Texas on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. First pitch is coming up at 5:05 p.m. in Arlington, Texas. Jacob deGrom against Randy Vasquez, the starting pitching matchup in the series opener today. Padres trying to build off a win in the series finale in St. Louis on Wednesday. Third leg of what has been a long 9-game road trip. Padres currently 3-3 on the trip. Stops in Baltimore and St. Louis, and now they wrap things up with this 3-game series against the Texas Rangers. Let's take a look at some headlines from around the major leagues.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning. when you join Valley View Casino and Hotels Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Well, let's begin with a lot of injury news today. The Tigers have announced that Justin Verlander has a left hamstring strain and will likely be out weeks. Remember, he had been out after one start this season in his return to Detroit with left hip inflammation. He had been scheduled to come off the IL and start Sunday, but now he's dealing with a hamstring injury that he suffered during a bullpen session earlier this week. So Verlander is going to miss a lot of the season. Wow. But that's the latest on Justin Verlander. Bobby Witt Jr. is out of the Royals lineup today against the Cardinals with a grade 1 MCL sprain. He left Thursday's game after fielding a ground ball. It's a mild sprain, but we shall see what the deal is with Bobby Witt Jr. moving forward. A grade 1 MCL sprain. The Angels put Mike Trout on the injured list yesterday with a right hamstring strain. He suffered that injury while running to first base on Wednesday against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Major League Baseball proposed widespread changes to its amateur entry system that would cut signing bonuses by more than $150 million annually, make high school players ineligible for the domestic draft, and institute an international draft. Sources have told Jeff Passan of ESPN. The proposal, made at a collective bargaining meeting with the MLB Players Association yesterday, called for the domestic draft to be shortened from 20 to 12 hard-slotted rounds and the amateur signing bonus pool to be nearly cut in half to $200 million. So that would be major changes when you talk about cutting the draft down, a lot of rounds, and an international draft, and just the next chapter in the negotiations between owners and the MLBPA. Also did want to highlight here on Juneteenth an event at Rickwood Field. MLB celebrating Juneteenth with the third annual East-West Classic at Rickwood Field. Rickwood Field opened in 1910 and is the oldest professional ballpark in the United States. It was home to the Birmingham Black Barons of the Negro Leagues from 1924 to 1960, the team a teenage Willie Mays joined in 1948. This year's Classic will once again be led by captains CC Sabathia and Chris Young, featuring former Major League stars like Matt Kemp, Prince Fielder, Gary Sheffield, Justin Upton. I do want to tell you, MLB Network will air a behind-the-scenes East-West Classic all-access show next Saturday, June 27th. It's a really great event they put on at Rickwood Field to celebrate Juneteenth. They've done this, like I said, the last few years. So be sure to stay tuned on that. Watch the show on MLB Network, and a really nice way that MLB celebrates and honors this Juneteenth. So that's a look at some Major League headlines from around the sport. Let's continue previewing today's game. Let's give you the latest as far as the Padres and Rangers injuries.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Well, let's begin with the Rangers. They're pretty banged up right now. Second baseman Josh Smith is dealing with a right glute strain, wrist inflammation, and you might have heard about this viral meningitis. He began a rehab assignment at AA a couple of weeks ago. He was optioned to Round Rock on June 19th, so that was actually earlier today. They're without Corey Seager, who's on the IL right now, dealing with concussion symptoms after being in a collision on June 11th. Evan Carter, one of their young outfielders, on the IL right now with a right oblique strain. Danny Jansen, one of their catchers, on the IL with a right forearm strain. They're also without Chris Martin, who's dealing with a right shoulder impingement, and some other pitchers on the IL as well. As far as the Padres, few injuries have popped up on this road trip. Really no updates on anybody right now. Freddie Fermin left Saturday's game, put on the concussion IL. Blake Hunt was called up. Whenever he appears, it'll be his major league debut. Miguel Andujar was put on the IL last weekend. Nick Solak called up, and obviously the Padres still without Jay Cronenworth and German Marquez and Matt Waldron and Luis Campusano. And as we get updates on those guys, we will be sure to pass them along. And that is the latest on both the injuries for the Padres and the Rangers. We'll hear from Padres outfielder Samad Taylor in a moment, so stay tuned for that. But first, let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard. The Cubs beating up on the Blue Jays earlier today, 16-2. We've got a number of games going on right now. Tigers lead the White Sox 2-1 in Detroit in the fourth inning. Yankees ahead of the Reds 1-0 in New York in the second. The Giants and the Marlins are tied at 1 in Miami in the second. The Nationals lead the Rays 1-0 in Tampa Bay in the second. Brewers and the Braves in Atlanta in the second inning. They are scoreless there. Everything else coming up a little bit later. Guardians and the Astros at 5:10 in Houston. Cardinals and the Royals in Kansas City at 5:15. Pirates and the Rockies at 5:40 in Colorado. Angels and the A's in Sacramento at 6:40. Twins and the Diamondbacks at 6:45 in Arizona. Orioles and the Dodgers in LA at 7:10. Red Sox in Seattle against the Mariners at 7:10. I promise you we'll have more on those games coming up a little bit later in our post-game coverage. Well, Samad Taylor continues to be terrific. We talked about him a little bit earlier in the midst of a 9-game hitting streak. Samad was batting second on Wednesday in St. Louis, and guess what? He continued to be productive. The Padres won, so should be no surprise that Samad Taylor is right back in that number 2 spot today, playing right field. He has been no doubt a spark plug for this Padre ball club, for this offense, since coming up from AAA El Paso. Samad Taylor spoke with reporters earlier today inside the Padres clubhouse in Arlington.
I'm just curious about your experience with the team so far. You're batting second last game. When did you find out you were batting second? Did Craig give you a heads up the night before, or did you find out that day?
No, honestly, looked at the lineup, looked from 6 all the way down to 9, didn't see my name in the lineup. So I thought I just had an off day. And then I looked again, and I'm like, hey, Bogey's hitting 6. And then started looking from the top, and I was like, oh, I'm in the 2-hole. And that was right before, I want to say later that night, he sent the lineup out. And kind of from that moment, it was just like, all right, well, we're in the 2-hole, and just keep being myself and just go out there and have fun.
Is there anything to that, though, just hitting second between guys like Tatis and Merrill? Like, do you think about it a little more? Like, I'm trying to be myself, but at the same time, it's a big deal, right? At the same time.
To some, yeah, maybe a big deal. I don't really think much into it. If my name's in the lineup, my name's in the lineup. If it's not, all I know is I got to get ready to be ready when my name is called. But like you said, just being in the 2-hole with Toddy leading off and Merrill behind us, I feel like my job and my ultimate goal is to get on base, obviously, put together good at-bats. And as we've seen when we were in where did we just come from? St. Louis. The last game, I get on base the last at-bat and cause a little havoc, still bag. And then at that point, I'm just giving Merrill good pitches to hit with being a threat to still bag. So got a good pitch, put a good swing on it, and the ball went out. So that's my only goal, is just to help the guys behind me get pitches to hit and drive the ball.
What did you learn from your past 3 years, your past stints in the majors? Anything you've changed approach-wise coming up here, just the way you're thinking about it, or is it all the same for you?
Not much really approach in the box or anything like that. It's just finally understanding the type of player I am and finally understanding what my role is. Like you said, coming up, first year, got up in 23, great debut. Second game, good game, and then it was kind of like fighting to get on the field. And obviously, it's the big leagues. Big leagues is hard, and you're fighting to get on the field as a younger guy, and you start to apply pressure on yourself. And then you get to 24, kind of the same thing, fighting to get on the field. Now I'm applying undue pressure that didn't need to be there. And then 25, got a cup of coffee the first month, and it was kind of the same thing, just fighting to get on the field. And I got over here, signed this offseason, and had a good spring, did what I needed to do in El Paso, worked on a couple things, and get up here, and by the grace of God, I've had the success that I've had this far. And it's just riding out the success as long as you can. But the biggest thing was just understanding the player I am. I go down to AAA and I put up numbers, and I'm one specific player, and then you get back to the big leagues and you're like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do that. In reality, like Craig told me when I first got up here, is just be the same person, just be me. And I feel like me being me is good enough. So by the grace of God, Padres give me an opportunity to chase my dream.
When you got to the team, you're one of the first questions you answered, and you said you wanted to plan on bouncing around and do whatever was needed. Just reference hitting sixth, hitting fifth, hitting second, playing left field. Now you've seen him right too, DHing. 3 weeks later, it's like what you envision has happened successfully. Just talk about those 3 weeks where you've been able to exactly do what you set out to do.
It's been a pretty whirlwind the last 3. Just getting called up, you get called up, and like I said before, I didn't really know what my role was going to be. All I knew is I was going to have to be ready to cause havoc, and whatever that was, I was going to do it. And like you said, I've played left, hit 6, play right, hit second. I want to do what I can do on the field to put my team in the best situation to come out with a win. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if I'm doing great and we're losing, because the ultimate goal, everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to go to the postseason. Everybody wants to win a World Series. So, like I said, I'm going to do whatever I can. And if it's second base, third, left, it doesn't matter. If they tell me to get behind the plate, I'll get behind the plate, because that's like I want to win. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to win, and that's it.
We talked about this the other day, but just in general, played in the Winter League in Mexico a couple of years ago. How that do you feel was like beneficial to your career? Different environment, different pitching, same game, but different type of scenario.
I mean, you can take whatever you want to take from it, but I feel like if you go play winter ball anywhere, it's going to be beneficial just on the strength of, in Mexico, they pitch different than they do in the DR. In DR, they pitch different than they do in Venezuela. So, like, you kind of just understand how everybody's pitching. And then you get up here, and it's the best of the best in America. And then you go to Mexico, it's the best of the best in Mexico. You go to the DR, it's the best of the best. It's like you're always competing against the best of the best. And now I'm here competing against the best of the best. And, it's just a blessing. So, it's just going to keep riding the high. That's all I can say. Just keep riding the high and do whatever I can to win.
That was tonight's right fielder, batting second, Samad Taylor. A lot of good stuff there, I thought, from Samad, and certainly he's been a spark plug for this Padres offense. We'll see if that continues here tonight in this series opener. First pitch coming up in Texas at 5:05. Let's give you our keys to today's game.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Rock and Block Turf and Hardscapes. Beautiful artificial turf that stays green all year long. Trust and experience. The job isn't done until it's done right. See them at rockandblocklandscape.com.
Couple of keys for you here tonight. Key number 1, get ahead. The Rangers keep falling behind early. 15 times this season, Rangers starting pitching has allowed multiple first-inning runs. The Rangers have lost all 15 games this season when their starting pitchers have allowed multiple runs in the first inning. The Rangers have a major league worst 7.05 ERA in the first inning this season. They've allowed eight more home runs in the first inning than any other major league team this season. Now, the Padres did a really good job getting ahead early on Wednesday. They had 5 hits and 2 runs scored in the first 4 innings of that game in St. Louis. I think a big key today, based on all of that, get ahead, score some early runs, attack in the first inning. And you know what? Jacob deGrom, he's the kind of guy, you don't get him early, you might not get him. That's key number 1. Key number 2, keep penning classics. The Padres bullpen has been terrific on this road trip for the most part, a collective 1.82 ERA as a bullpen on this road trip, 6 games into the 9-game trip. Couple of quick keys for you as we get ready for this series opener. When we come back, we'll tell you one Padre hitter to watch in particular tonight. Also, a full breakdown of our pitching matchup between Jacob deGrom and Randy Vasquez. That comes your way after this. Padres baseball coming up here on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network on this Friday. A beautiful, beautiful late afternoon here in America's finest city. Hope you're enjoying this beautiful weekend. Should be great weather. I know the NASCAR race is going on. Hope you can enjoy Padres baseball as well as they open up this 3-game series in Arlington, Texas. First pitch coming up at 5:05. We send things out to Jesse and Bob Scanlon in under 7 minutes. They come your way very, very soon. Let's tell you what to watch for in this series opener.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovements.com.
Well, so far today, we've talked a lot about the first two guys in the Padres lineup. Fernando has been great lately. Samad Taylor has been great. They're 1-2 in the lineup today. How about Jackson Merrill? What to watch for in this game and really throughout the series? Are we starting to see Jackson Merrill get it going? You look at his last 8 games, batting .306, 5 extra base hits, 6 RBIs, had a pretty nice series in St. Louis, hit the 2-run home run on Wednesday. Can Jackson continue that into tonight's game and in this series? Because tell you what, with the way Nando and Samad are playing, if you can get Jackson going, if you can get Manny going after that, all of a sudden the top of the order looks a lot more formidable against opponents. And we shall see if Jackson Merrill keeps that momentum going into this series against the Rangers and specifically tonight's series opener in Texas. Our pitching matchup tonight, Jacob deGrom against Randy Vasquez. Let's dive in.
Let's break down how today's starters are shaping up with our starting pitching preview. Brought to you by Harrah's Resorts, Southern California, and the First Down Sports Bar in Funner, California. Don't just watch the match, experience the glory. Head to Funner for every World Cup match to enjoy stadium-level energy and amazing specials at the best sports bar in SoCal.
On the mound for the Rangers, Jacob deGrom, the right-hander. Today is his 38th birthday, so let's hope it's not a great birthday for Jacob. So far this season, deGrom, 5-4, 3.17 ERA, 14 starts, 76 innings and 2/3. He struck out 89, walked 15. He is still a guy, even as he approaches 40, that is striking people out. He's been very good as of late after sort of an up and down start to the season, a 1.57 ERA in his last 4 starts. He pitched 6 innings, allowed 2 runs on Saturday in Boston. deGrom has always been good against the Padres, 7-3 with a 1.41 ERA and 11 career starts against San Diego. He's facing them for the very first time since Game 2 of the 2022 National League Wild Card Series in New York, when deGrom obviously was with the Mets. His 1.41 ERA against the Padres is his second lowest among the 10 opponents he's faced at least 10 times in his career. deGrom is getting a lot of swing and miss, a 33.2% whiff rate, trailing only Jacob Mizorowski, Dylan Cease, and Chase Burns among starters with at least 250 swings against them this season. The point being, deGrom is getting back to being that guy again. He was good last year too, but he's getting a lot of swing and miss, pitching really well. He's a tough customer today for this Padres offense. On the mound for the Padres, right-hander Randy Vasquez, the 27-year-old, having a solid year. 6-4, 3.63 ERA, 14 starts, 74 innings and a third, 58 strikeouts, 22 walks. He went 5 innings, gave up 2 runs against the Orioles last weekend. Vasquez tossing 6 innings, giving up 2 runs when he faced the Rangers on July 4th last season. Vasquez, again, that was his alone career start against Texas, and we'll see how Randy does here tonight, coming in with a sub-4 ERA. And that's a look at our starting pitching matchup here today. Jacob deGrom for the Rangers, Randy Vasquez on the mound for the Padres. As always, we appreciate you tuning in to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Well, the Padres continuing this 9-game road trip, the final stop to Arlington, Texas. And when we come back, we send things out to Globe Life Field. Jesse Agler, Bob Scanlon, standing by, ready to go. They'll have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage later on this evening. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network. Enjoy the game, everybody.